Welcome back guys to another video, and today we will be taking a hardware tour of the Rose Apple Pi. Now if you guys don't know what the Rose Apple Pi actually is, please check out the link provided right there. So Rose Apple Pi is basically a Raspberry Pi clone with a lot beefier hardware. Now it's not yet available in the market, but it's expected to arrive very soon. And what I have here is a review unit. Now the first thing that you would notice different from my previous videos is that it now has a fan that I have attached separately on the Rose Apple Pi. Now if you remove the fan, we can see the heatsink right here. Now the issue with the CPU right now is that it doesn't cool down very well. It stays at around 50 to 60s when idle, and at around 85 to 90 or even 95 in many cases when at load. Now that's a bit of a problem, so I do had to source a fan and then attach my own. Now apart from the fan being an issue, the hardware is pretty well constructed. Let's start from the CPU. We have the Actions processor S500 CPU right here, which is a Cortex A9 quad core chip with clock speed of about 1.1 to 1.2 gigahertz. Now it also has a PowerVR SGX 544 GPU, which is pretty powerful and also has inbuilt H.265 decoder. Now let's move forward and we can see the two RAM chips right there. Now these are Samsung 1 GB DDR3 each, so they make up your 2 GB DDR3 RAM, which is quite a lot for the price and the market in general. And the price at the moment is not confirmed, but what I received was around $48 was the price that I was informed about. So the next, let's move on to other hardware things that we have on here. Right here we have our onboard uh, flash storage. Now this is a very small flash storage, the kind of you will load a BIOS into, and this probably has the BIOS preloaded, so you don't have any separate FAT32 partitions like you do on a Raspberry Pi. So this has a bootloader preloaded, and then let's turn the board around and let's see what we have there. Now at the back of the board we can find our SD card slot, which is currently populated by my SD card. And also if you take a closer look, you can see the empty solder area or the empty mask, where you will probably have your 4 GB to 64 gigs of eMMC storage if you order with one. Of course those are expensive and the price will change accordingly according to your order. So this can support from 4 GB to 64 gigs of eMMC, fast eMMC storage. And so that's about the hardware circuits and chips we have on the board. Now let's talk about the what the users can have. Now for the user to interact, we have our HDMI 1.4 that can do 4K at 30 FPS max. We have our line out, so that's your audio for headphones. Also the HDMI is capable of doing audio. And here we have our camera port, sorry, this is our camera port and this is our display port. So the similar kind that we have on a Raspberry Pi. I'm not sure if it's backward compatible with the Raspberry Pi, but I don't think at the moment we have any software to run the Raspberry Pi display on the Rose Apple Pi. Now here we have the micro USB that will be used to power this device. And moving on, we have our two USB 2.0 ports, one USB 3 port and an Ethernet port. Now the Ethernet port is not a gigabit port, it's a 10 by 100 megabit port. So your standard port that you can also find on the Raspberry Pi. Now the one difference is, and I will talk about it in detail in the comparison video, is that all the three ports have a separate controller inside the SoC itself, unlike the Raspberry Pi where all the 4 USB ports and the Ethernet port is controlled by a single USB hub. Of course, it will, in theory, this should have better performance across all the ports. Now, if you look closely, right here we have a very useful port for development. If you can see those 4 pins. Now, this is the UART port, so it allows us to have console or command line access without having the need to attach an HDMI screen or a keyboard and mouse. And right here the 4 pins, you can attach your own mic and an infrared controller in them. So that's basically it for the hardware tour of this device. Of course, there is our GPIO pins. Now these are arranged according to my knowledge exactly as on the Raspberry Pi 2. So I think many boards or hats should be compatible, although I cannot confirm on this yet, as it is a very early product and still a lot of software work has to be done. Now, if you guys want any further detailed hardware comparison with the Raspberry Pi, it will be coming up in a video sooner or later. It is in the making, it is being planned as we speak. But yeah, that's about it for the Rose Apple Pi, and this is a beast of a device as compared to the Raspberry Pi on board on paper, but total amount but the actual performance can only be determined when the software has been properly written. Right now the software part is kind of weak. The HDMI is only giving out a mere resolution of 1280 by 800, which will I expect, which will, and I hope which will be improved soon. Also, the hardware decoder for H.264 and H.265 are yet to be implemented. So if you run a video, it will be running on the CPU, decoded by the CPU, and the CPU consumption gets really high and you start skipping frames, which is not what you actually wanted to happen. So maybe sooner or later we will get all of that. But that's it for today. That's all I have to say right now about this Rose Apple Pi. If you're planning on buying one, and if they don't include a fan on the final model that they release, I suggest that you go and buy one, because the CPU, the only problem I have with this board is that the CPU gets extremely hot. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it, comment, and really let me know what more do you want from this board, from what more do you want me to do with this board. I do have a couple of projects pending, but let's see, maybe I'll do more videos after my exams. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.